Okay, well, welcome back to the Are You Strong show. I have a special guest on today. And once you hear, this young woman's background, you're gonna say, all you're gonna say is wow. Um, but before I say her name and introduce her, I just want to read a couple of different accolades that it just jumped out at me when I was looking at her bio. But this young woman is a three-time All-American wrestler, national champion wrestler, most outstanding wrestler, region champ, most outstanding female athlete of the year, and probably what's most important, and I think her parents will agree with me, is scholar All-American. You don't find too many athletes who participate in college and are scholar All-Americans. But welcome to the show, Sandy Guerrero. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. Well, I have a ton of questions to ask you. Your history in college wrestling is outstanding.
Thank you.
It's unique and it's groundbreaking, right? Is what I would say. So before I keep talking, why don't you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of roll from there.
Yeah, so the way I started is through my parents. They own a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school here in West Orange, New Jersey. And I started training. I've been on the mat since I was born, but I started Jiu-Jitsu at 4 years old. And then I started training at 8, originally just to get my Jiu-Jitsu better. And then I just fell in love with the sport from there. The first 5 years I wrestled, I actually hated it because it was so hard. And then when I was 13, I started liking it a little bit. New Jersey Girls Wrestling got sanctioned in New Jersey in 2019. So that's when they actually had girls tournaments. Before that, I just wrestled boys, and that was just the norm.
Now,
So yeah.
how was that wrestling the boys? Were you beating them all the time?
Not all the time. It's tough, especially as a heavyweight at a higher weight class. Once you're in high school, you get to pretty much above 150. They're not really boys anymore, they're men. So you do get manhandled a little bit. I would win matches here and there from technique, but it caused a lot of injuries. It was kind of dangerous. So I'm really
Yeah.
happy that the sport has grown to where it has.
That's great. So, so what inspired you to do that? I mean, I know your parents at jujitsu school. You could have done so many other sports. Like, what is like, hey, wow, I'm going to be a wrestler, and I'm not just going to do it as a little kid or even high school. I'm gonna
Mhm.
pursue this sucker all the way to college.
No, it was my parents for sure who got me into the sport, but like I said, I didn't really like it until I was 13 because girls hit puberty for boys. So I definitely got a little strong at 13 and I started beating up the boys a little bit. And I was like, you know what? This is fun. I'm not getting beat up anymore. So that was a lot of fun. But in high school, I was just like, how do I continue doing this? Like, I don't want to just stop after high school. So that's why I wanted to wrestle in college.
That's awesome. So, when you were wrestling in high school, how did you handle? I don't know if the right word is it the crowd, the public, like women, girls wrestling. It hasn't been the norm that long,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
when they see you out there and you're kicking some butt, how did you handle were there hecklers? Were there people like, what's going on? Like, how is this happening? How did
Yeah.
you handle that?
No, for sure. There were definitely people who have said things to me, even as an 8-year-old kid. Their parents who look at me weird, or let's say I beat a boy in a match, he didn't want to shake my hand after, like little things like that. Even my own coaches putting down my own accomplishments at some
Really?
point. So yeah, in high school.
Ugh,
So there's
how'd you deal with that?
well, my parents dealt with that specific situation for me, so I'm very grateful for them. But
All right.
but yeah, I just love the sport and I just wanted to get better and keep doing it. So I really didn't care at some point, and I was already used to it. Between 8 and 18, it's 10 years of dealing with this, so
Yeah.
it was normal to me.
Okay. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know a lot about wrestling, but let's say I know enough to be dangerous. What I do know is in the boys' side, the men's side, there's a
Mhm.
ton of losing weight. For on the women's side, do you deal with the same issues? Hey, I got to cut weight. I'm going to drop down to this weight class. If
Yep.
so, how do you handle that? And like when I'm hungry, Like I'm hangry. Like and people don't want to talk to me, you know. I can't
Yeah.
imagine being hungry all day long,
Hmm.
going to school, going to practice, and then
Yep.
go study and have life when you're starving.
It's
Like
hard.
how do you handle
It's
that?
really hard. So my situation is actually a little bit different because of the weight classes. So right now, they just changed the weights in college. So before heavyweight was 191, which is what I wrestled. So me specifically, I had nationals in March and I wrestled at 191. And I think I weighed about 187. So I was actually a couple pounds under, so I didn't have to cut for that. But exactly 4 weeks later, I had the Puerto Rican World Team Trials. And the heaviest weight class for international wrestling is 167 and a half, so 76 kilograms. And I didn't have a choice. If I wanted to wrestle, I had to make that weight. So I
Oh
had
my
exactly
God.
4 weeks to lose 20 pounds. You just have to suck it up. Like you don't have a
How do you
choice.
do it? Do you just starve yourself? Like what do you do?
It was not fun. I did not have a good time. It was like a lot of cutting carbs. I had no sugar, no fruit. Like literally, it was just meat and veggies pretty much for 4 weeks straight. And then those last 7 pounds, I cut the 24 hours before weigh-ins.
That's just all water weight that last seven
Yeah.
pounds, or
Yeah. So I was in Puerto Rico, which made it a little bit easier to sweat. I just put sweats on. I ran outside. I was laying down on the beach, which was nice, but
yeah.
also it's tough when you're dehydrated. Your mouth is like really dry. All you can think about is not even necessarily food, it's the dehydration that's the hard part. Because anyone can be hungry for a while, but dehydration you can't do for a long time, right? So to be dehydrated and working out on top of that is really, really tough. And
So
thankfully that was around my spring break. So I didn't have assignments, but I think I did fall behind at that point because it is hard to focus. Like your brain just does not function the same.
now is that trying to do it, make the Olympic team,
That was for the world team.
world
Yep,
team?
Puerto Rico.
So
Hmm.
how does that work?
So I made the world team. So in October I have the U23 world team or world championships in Albania. So I'm super excited about that. That's what I'm working on right now, training for. And then right after that, my college season starts.
So being on that team, does that mean for the next round of Olympics, you're on that team? Is that how that works?
No, every year you have to qualify.
Oh,
Every
you
year is
do.
different. Hmm.
So is that an aspiration of yours? Is hey, you know what, 2028, I'm gonna go kick some butt in
Yep.
the Olympics?
Yep. LA 2028. That's the goal.
So what's the competition like for you, out there? I mean, you're the best of the best. Like if from what at least what I see and read, and like I don't see anybody else better than you. What does it look like for you in the next 4 years making it to the Olympics?
Hmm.
Are you like that far up there? Hey, you got a shot at the gold medal?
So there's levels, right? There is elementary, middle, high school, college. If college is here, the Olympic team is like all the way up here,
Right.
right? So it's levels. So I thankfully got the opportunity to go to two Team USA camps, Olympic camps. So I was training with a lot of the Olympians, national team members for Team USA. I went to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. Great experience, but I got my butt kicked. Like that was part of it,
They're
right?
that good,
They're
right?
that good, right? So especially for Team USA specifically, they're not just the best in the country, they're the best in the world, right? Like they're getting medals every time they compete pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was a great learning experience, super humbling, but it just goes to show you like once you reach that highest level, you go to the next level, now you're at the bottom. So
Yeah.
I just have to work my way up.
Now, how are those women much older than you that are on the Olympic team, or are they
No,
same
some of them
age?
are younger.
Really?
Yeah, so just this year, well, actually a few weeks ago, Amit Allure, she won gold at 68 kilos. She's 20 years old, at the Olympics.
Okay.
Kennedy Blades, 20 years old, 76 kilos. She got silver for Team
Now, what does that
USA.
mean in pounds? I don't know what kilos are. I can't do.
76 kilos is 167 and a half
Okay.
about. And then 68 kilos, I think is like 149. So like 150.
So if for you to go into that level, are you going to have to cut, or are you going to stay at the higher weight?
Yeah. So I'm working on it right now, my descent. So thankfully the college weights just changed. So instead of 191, I'll be wrestling 180, which makes it an easier cut to 167.
What makes it an easier?
Well, it went from 20 pounds to 13 pounds essentially.
Okay, but still cutting weight. I don't think it can't be easy.
Yeah, but I will be making 76 kilos about three more times this year.
Okay.
So while I'll be wrestling at 180, So I'll be like a really small 180, but a big 167 pounder. So
Yeah.
I'll be right there.
Wow. So what where do you find the motivation? You know, to just keep doing it, keep doing it,
Mhm.
keep doing it. And especially at this level, I know it's painful. You know, I've watched wrestling
Yeah.
practices. I watch your stuff on the videos and stuff. Like, where do you find the drive to get up every morning and just go through that discipline and that pain
Mhm.
and that, that effort every day?
Yeah, it really, I can't say it's motivation because some days I just don't want to. You know, it's hard waking up. Like in season, we have 6 a.m. practices and I have to go to Jersey City, right? So I wake up at 4:45 in the morning. I don't want to wake up at 4:45 in the morning. It's discipline at that point. Like I have to, I have to, I have to, I have to because I have goals,
Right.
because I care, because I love the sport. You know, if I this is not an easy sport. Like if I was not absolutely in love with it, I would have quit a long time ago because it's so hard. Like it's not worth it if you're not in love with it, you know? So because I love it so much and I want to see how far I can go, like what my best is. I don't think I've reached my full potential yet.
Mm.
So I'm excited to see how far I grow in the sport.
So if you had to, what do you love about it? What's jumping out? Say, man, like this is what keeps me going. This is my love of the sport.
Mhm. It's it's so weird because it really just you're fighting someone else, you know? So it's a fight with rules, of course, and sometimes I have to break it down. I overcomplicate it, and my coach just goes, "Listen, how do you win a wrestling match? You just have to score more points than the other person. That's it. Just like any other sport, just score more points." But what I love about it is the physicality. It's physical. Like I use my face when I wrestle. I come off the mat and I have like black eye or scratches or like I just look beat up. And I love the accountability that it teaches, right?
Mm.
So other sports, you know, team sports specifically, you know, let's say you lost, oh, they didn't pass me the ball. You know, that doesn't happen in wrestling. It's one person versus one person. So if you lost, like you did something wrong. You learn
Right.
accountability that way. Also, if you win, something went right, you know? So you do get to take that and take full credit for whatever you did out there, which I love. But it really, even with that, it's still a team sport in some aspects, like when we have duels and things like that. But when it's a tournament, it's just you out there. You
It's
can't blame
just you.
anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just you.
So tell me about your pre-match routine. You know, what
Mhm.
do you wake up in the morning, you're wrestling
Yeah.
later on in the afternoon. What's going
Mhm.
on in your head and how do you get yourself ready?
So if it's a tournament, for example, we'll do a team warm up, but I wrestle heavyweight. So by the time it's my turn to wrestle, I'm like one of the last ones. I have to warm up again. So we warm up with the team, we warm up again later. And for me specifically, I'm really big, especially this year, I got really big into affirmations. So my 5 affirmations I would repeat out loud. I didn't care if my opponent heard me or my opponent's coaches heard me, but I would repeat, I'm strong, I'm fast, I'm tough, I'm enough, I'm a good wrestler. And I would be pacing, saying that out loud. I did not care who heard me. And
So
I
you're
looked like
you're
it.
strong, you're fast.
Tough, I'm enough, I'm a good wrestler.
Wow.
And I would repeat that over and over and over. And then I look insane because I also like to slap myself. So like I slap like this, I slap my face, slap my headgear, slap my legs. Like I would have bruises all over my legs, not from the wrestling itself, but just from slapping because I feel like it wakes my skin up and gives me energy before I go out there. Because you know, when I go out there, they're not gonna just touch me nicely. They're gonna bang on my
Oh
head.
yeah.
They're gonna be tough. So I might as well do it to myself first to get my body used to it. And then when I go
Yep.
out there, it's like my skin is used to that already.
So when you those affirmations, you're just verbally saying it and everybody hears
Out
you.
loud. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy because like for nationals, for example, it's at this big arena. So everyone's kind of like, I'm not gonna, it's not backstage, but you know, it's like the
Yeah.
background before you go out into the mats. And sometimes you're right next to your opponent. You're bouncing and you're getting ready and you're slapping. And I'm
Yeah.
saying this out loud. And I can feel them looking at me. And they're probably like, oh my God, this girl's insane. But like, I just don't care. Like, you
Yeah,
know?
that's got to be intimidating to them. And
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
want them to think you're insane because hey, I'm going to come out there and kick your butt.
It's true. And then I'm like slapping and like I just look crazy when I'm warming up and getting ready,
Now,
but
do you have
it
do you have
works.
videos of that? People take video of you doing that?
My mom has videos. Yeah. And I look back at them, I'm like, oh, this looks insane, but it works for me. So
That's awesome. So how did you
Mhm.
come up with those 5? I mean, those are awesome 5
Thank you.
affirmations. How did you come up with those?
I don't know, just over time, like this past season, I was just like, what can I say to really get me ready? Do I believe I'm the strongest? Maybe not all the time, but I'll say it anyway until I believe it. Am I the fastest? Probably not, but I'll just say it until I believe it. Am I tough? Yeah, I'm pretty tough. I think I can believe, if I say it enough, I'll believe it. It's almost like faking it till you make it.
Yeah.
I didn't really believe it at first, and I just kept repeating it, repeating it, repeating it. And then, my how my matches would go would show that those things were true. So it just helped me out. And then over time, you like really believe it.
Wow. That's awesome. So, most memorable moment. You must have a ton of them. But what jumps out as, hey, if you can put your finger on one thing, hey, this is
Mhm.
the most memorable moment in my career so far, what would it be?
I feel like it's so cliche to say winning nationals, but not necessarily winning itself. It was like running to my coach's corner to give them a hug, which was like
Ooh,
the best thing ever. And then even after that, to go along with that is winning the most outstanding wrestler award. So they give that out. There's 10 weight classes, there's 10 champs at every weight. I'm sorry, there's one champ at every weight. And they pick 1 out of 10 of those national champions to be the most outstanding wrestler. And they never pick a heavyweight. So this was never even on my radar. It was always my goal to win nationals, but this was something I did not expect at all. I was already celebrating my win. Like we were all happy. I wanted to go out to eat. Like
yeah.
we were in the middle of Iowa. I was hungry. I was like, I wrestled. I'm done. Let's go. And then they're like, oh no, we need you on the floor. And I was like, oh, why? Like, I don't understand. But that's when they do all the awards, the team awards, like, and all that. And then they call my name, and I was like so in shock because I could not believe I never got that award in my whole life ever. Been the
Wow.
most outstanding wrestler. So it really meant a lot to me
Now, you said they don't normally give it to heavyweights. Why not?
because we're not very athletic. Like, we don't have, like, usually we don't have the most interesting matches. There's like this thing where people are like, oh, heavyweight matches always go 1-1, and then they always go overtime. In high school that was like the big thing. But my match, my nationals match, my finals match, I should say, was not easy. Like I was getting beat up in the first part of it. I was losing 6-0, and
Really?
then yeah, it was not great. Like I smacked my face on the mat. I
Oh,
was like, oh, this hurts. This is hard. How am I gonna do this? And I just, in my head, I wasn't freaking out. I was like, let's breathe, let's reset, and let's just score some points. So I went out there, took her down, pinned her, and that's it. It was over. And I was like, oh, this is so cool.
that's awesome. Well, what you just said before, it tells everybody who you are,
Hmm.
right? And you said after you won, you went and you hugged your coach,
Yeah.
which means the value you received from them, whatever they've given you over the years meant
Hmm.
so much to you that like you're going, instead of yelling to the crowd, high five, going crazy and enjoying the moment, you went
Yeah.
over there and enjoyed it with them.
I had to. Yeah. It
That's
was
pretty
the
cool.
it was the biggest thing because are you out there by yourself? Yes, I'm out there by myself, but it really does take a village to
Yeah.
make a champion. It's not just like the training. My coach, for example, he's not just my coach, he's actually my practice partner. Because I'm the heaviest weight on my team. Either my teammates are not exactly the same level skillfully, or they're just too light for me. So I get beat up by a grown man every day, right? I go with my coach pretty much every day. So he it's just as much his as it is mine.
Yeah.
So it really meant, it was really special for
Was there
that.
any tears going back and forth?
So many tears. I'm a crier. Like when things
Right.
get hard, I cry.
Yeah.
In practice, I'll cry. Don't get me wrong, I'll finish every workout. I'll do
Yep.
everything my coach says, but I will cry while doing it. Like I'll cry while holding a plank. I'll cry doing like squat jump. I'll just cry because it's hard. But I will finish everything that he tells me to
That's
do.
just you're crying is you're just letting the pain out.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like I'm gonna finish the workout. Don't get me wrong. I'm never gonna
Yeah.
quit, but I'm gonna cry through it. But he also said this was the first time he cried after coaching a match. So that was really special too. And actually his contact on my phone is him crying at nationals,
Really?
which is
Oh, that's
funny.
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we just talked about all this really cool stuff, right?
Mhm.
All this monumental accolades, fun, championships, hugging, crying, and everything's moving in the perfect direction, right?
Mm.
Well, let's talk about setbacks. Have you talk about any type of significant monumental setback that you may have had along the way to get to this, to get to the peak of the mountaintop, like where you're at
Yeah.
right now? There
Mhm.
had to be some setbacks along the way. Can you talk about some of those?
So many. So if I were to break down my 4 years of college so far, my freshman year was COVID. So that's already like a setback for everybody,
Yeah.
you know. There was no regular season. We only had a postseason. So my first college match ever was at regionals. Like you had to win. So talk about pressure. There was
Oof.
no, let's develop you into a good college wrestler. It was just like, you need to win. This is your first college match ever. This is at regionals. If you want to go to nationals, you have to win. You have to qualify. So I placed third my freshman year at regionals. So I qualified for nationals. I barely all-American my freshman year. I got eighth. I was like at the very bottom of the podium.
But how many? But
Still
you said only 8 people make All American out of how many? You know,
there were a lot. There were a
yeah.
lot, yeah.
And you're
But
like,
it
well, I
was
only got
still,
8. Like, but
yeah.
out of how many? That's a ton.
Yeah, it was still hard though. It really was a miracle because my so when I won the state tournament my senior year of high school, COVID happened literally a week right after. Like a week after is when everything shut down. And I really went into college thinking I was gonna be four-time national champion. Like I was on like the state champ high, like I'm the best, like I'm gonna beat everybody. And then I got humbled my first college tournament. So that was good for me because I needed that. I remember getting teched. So that means when someone scores 10 points over you, they automatically just stop the match. And I was like, I don't know what happened. My coach was like, listen, you like stopped wrestling. That's what happened. It
Wow.
was a good learning lesson for me. Comes my sophomore year. I'm doing pretty good in the beginning of the season. Winter break comes and my head coach got fired.
Oh,
So that was tough. In the middle of our season, right? Wrestling's a winter sport. So in the middle of our season, our coach just wasn't there anymore. So that was really tough. We had to get to at the time, or my head coach now was an assistant coach, but he was also coaching somewhere else. So he couldn't step up. I know he wanted to, but he couldn't step up because he was coaching somewhere else.
yeah.
So we had to get two interim head coaches. Not the best experience with them. They didn't even know our sport really, and they knew folk style wrestling, which is what boys wrestle. We wrestle freestyle. All the women wrestle freestyle in
Okay, I
college,
didn't
which
know
is what
that.
you
Okay.
wrestle. Yeah, so it's like Olympic style wrestling. At the
Yep.
Olympics, it's all freestyle pretty much. They didn't even know the rules. So it was like so hard having a coach who like did not know what they were doing. And they were older. They came out of retirement. Like it just wasn't great. I all-Americans my sophomore year as well. I got seventh. So still like barely at the bottom of the podium. I felt like I got a lot better at wrestling. So I was really looking at getting top four at least. But I was just like one step above seventh place. And I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Like, what am I doing wrong? Come my junior year, I have totally different mindset. I'm like super locked in. I have these goals. I know what I have to do to reach these goals. Let's go. I had some issues with weight in the beginning of my junior year where I couldn't wrestle because we have something called the descent plan. My descent plan didn't allow me to lose a certain amount of weight. So I missed like 2 tournaments. Then I go to a few tournaments. I'm undefeated 8-0. Winter break comes and I get diagnosed with mono.
Ugh.
Mono and my spleen was enlarged. So,
Oh,
if your spleen gets hit when it's enlarged, it could rupture, cause internal bleeding, and you could die, right? So I had this conversation with my doctor, and they're like, listen, you can't do any physical activity. And I just could not understand that. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm ranked in the country. And they're like, you don't understand. You can't do physical activity. And I was like, no, but I'm winning nationals this year. And they're like, no, you're not. And I'm like, I don't think you're understanding. Like, I have these goals, like, I need to reach them. So, can I run on the treadmill? What can I do to stay in shape? And they're like, you cannot do anything. So, that was really, really hard for me to understand. So,
how
that,
long did that go for, that whole illness and where you're out?
yeah, I was out for about 3 months. So, I think I got cleared to do physical activity, I think 3 weeks after nationals happened.
Ugh.
So it's kind of like I just missed it, and it was tough. And I was getting ultrasounds every single week to see if the spleen would shrink,
Yeah.
so I could like get back to wrestling. Excuse me, get back to wrestling again, and hopefully wrestle at regionals, so I can qualify for nationals, and still reach my goals. But it just wasn't in the cards for me. And I truly believe everything happens for a reason. So whatever, I had to get over it, right? So it was tough, but I went through it. I still went to practice every single day, 6 a.m. And I just sat there on the side and I was so sad. And it was tough, when your favorite thing gets taken away from you. Like my
Yeah.
grades started dropping. I wasn't doing great, hanging around the wrong people, so it was not a great time for me. But I was like, listen, I'm still alive. Like I didn't die. So I need to get over it. Like I need to stop feeling sorry for myself and just look towards next year. So my senior year comes and I'm doing great managing my weight. I'm doing great with my goals. I'm wrestling a ton. So I was pretty much wrestling two times a day plus a lift. So like 3 workouts in a day essentially. And I did that for a couple months during my season. So I was pretty much nonstop, just going, working. Cause I was like, now I got to play catch up. I was out for 3 months. So it's nonstop. I did a couple jiu-jitsu tournaments because there really are no wrestling tournaments off season for women. So I competed in jiu-jitsu. I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So that was good for me, which was a lot
Great.
of fun. I got bronze at Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, which was pretty cool. But that was just like something to do, because I couldn't
Now,
wrestle.
when you say a purple belt, how far up the ladder is that?
So it goes white, blue, purple, brown, black. So I'm
Okay.
2 belts away from black. Yeah.
All right. When's that coming?
Not for a long time, especially because I'm so focused on wrestling now. Jiu-jitsu,
All right.
I have for the rest of my life. So I'm in no rush to get a black belt anytime soon. Wrestling is only here for a couple years. Your body can only handle so much wrestling.
Okay.
So yeah.
So, so now you're going into your senior year,
Mhm.
right? Super healthy.
For the most part, I mean, I've had like the same knee injury for years, but yeah, for the most part, I was healthy.
All right. So I'm going to guess whoever is at your weight class, they
Mhm.
got your name plastered all over the place. We got to beat Sandy. We got to beat Sandy. We got it with
Not the beginning of my senior year. Because remember, I didn't finish my season junior year. So when I came in my senior, I was unranked. A lot of people didn't know who
Okay.
I was.
So they didn't
Yeah.
know who you were.
Yeah. Most people didn't. I was a 2-time All-American, but it was like seventh and eighth. It wasn't anything crazy.
But
So a
how
lot of people didn't know who I was.
see that's for a novice, a person like me who I don't
Mhm.
understand that whole ranking. Even though again I know enough to be dangerous, but when you're just like, you're seventh, you're eighth, All American, nobody really knows who you are. Like, why not? Like you're the top 8 in the country. Like, how are
Yeah.
you not known?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people didn't know me. Like I only had one loss this season because I went 29-1, and my one loss was at a tournament in Michigan. And the girl I went against was ranked number 2 in the country. I had never wrestled her before, but I knew who she was, and I could tell she didn't know who I was. I lost 4-0. It was a dirty match. She's like hitting me in the face after the whistle blows, like
Mm.
dirty things. It wasn't great. Um, at the end of the match or after the match, she throws her headgear pissed off, and I was like, what's her deal? Like, I think
Where'd
I
she
said
know?
something to her. I think I said, oh, you're mad? You're mad. I said something like that to her because I know she was frustrated. If you watch like the rest of this girl's matches, she was picking people up, dumping them, and doing all these crazy moves, and she just couldn't do that to me, and that frustrated her. So she started punching me in the face and like doing things that you're not supposed to be doing. The ref didn't give me a point for the punch, and I was like, whatever. If I knew it was MMA, I would have kept my hands up. I thought it
Yeah.
was wrestling, my bad.
Oh my
But
God.
whatever. She didn't know who I was. I think that frustrated her. She got really upset. But when we came back, that was like the one person I really wanted to beat at nationals, right? And I was supposed to see her in my semifinals, and then she lost in the quarters. So I actually
Oh,
never even got to wrestle her again. But if you look at the podium, I think she got fifth or something like that, and I
okay.
got first. So it's like
Now
whatever.
is she done? Has she graduated and moved on, or you get to get her again this year?
I have no idea. But whatever. If I see her again, I'll win.
You got to look her up and see where you'll meet her.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you have the knee injury,
Hmm.
right? Talk about that. Is it severe? Yeah, how do you handle it? How do you mentally handle dealing with an injury that,
Hmm.
because sometimes like you break a bone, you feel it's fixed, it's done, but a knee or a joint, it's constantly nagging you probably, right?
Never the same. They're
Yeah. So
never the
talk about
same.
that. How did you handle it in the beginning when it happened,
Mhm.
and how do you weather it and handle it while you continue to perform and compete?
Yeah, so I think the first time I hurt my knee was 2018. I had surgery in 2019, a small surgery, just arthroscopic. I um partially tore my meniscus and I dislocated my kneecap. That first time I was on crutches for maybe 2 months, something like that. Crazy. I couldn't walk. And then I redid that injury about 8 more times after that over the last 7 years.
And
So
no surgeries, no nothing on it.
I've had that one surgery in 2019, but I haven't had anything since. I've gotten
Since.
PRP shots, stem cell injections,
Oh my
like
God.
a bunch of things. It's tough to avoid surgery again, you know. But yeah, it's not easy. My issue was I would go to PT, I'd feel like I could wrestle, and then I would go back to wrestling and then get hurt again. And I did that over and over and over because I just did not want to be away from the mat. Like it was so hard for me. So now it's been about 2 years, I believe, since the last time I really like felt a pop or anything crazy in that knee. And I really taken care of it. Like I wear a knee brace, you know, I just got stem cell injections not too long ago. At Integrated Pain Management, they're awesome. They helped me out a lot, and they deal with a lot of wrestlers, so I knew that place was awesome. Um, they helped me out with that. It's been feeling better. I'm like slowly starting to get back. It's tough because my favorite moves in wrestling, I have to drop to my knees. So that's been hard for me. So I like arm throws where I like grab their arm, boom, and I drop to my knees. I like fireman's carry where I drop
Yep.
to my knees and I throw them over. Those are my go-to moves. So right now it doesn't feel great to do them. So I'm really not doing them, but it does give me a chance to get better at other aspects of wrestling that I need work on, you know? So
Wow.
it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. Now, do you carry that injury in your mind? Hey, you know, what if this
Mhm.
happens again? What if this happens again while I'm out there? Or do you just blank it out?
While I'm wrestling, I'm fine. Like I'm not even thinking about my knee. I'm just thinking about how I can score points. I'm not thinking about that. And you also have adrenaline pumping, you know, so I really don't even feel it, even if I am hurt. Now on that bus ride home, I'm gonna feel it.
You're
Or the
feeling the
morning
pain.
after a tournament, you're hurting. So sauna or like ice bath or things to recover. I've done cryotherapy before, like a bunch of things. Keep up with my PT exercises. Like I have a whole separate warm up just for my knee that I do before practice. So
Wow.
I try to be consistent. Like my doctor told me, he's like, you have very strong legs, strong as an ox. I'm like, thank you. I know, I try. He's like,
Work at it.
I really do. He's like, but it does feel a little unstable here. Just wear this brace and try not to get hurt. And I was like, thanks. I'll
Try
try
not
my
to
best.
do your best. So you're going into your 5th year,
Mhm.
and you're the person that everybody wants to knock off now,
Well,
right?
it's different now because there's a weight class change. So
Okay.
I don't know who's going where. So it went from before it was like 155, 170, 191 was heavyweight. Now it's 160, 180, 207.
Okay.
207 is too heavy for me now. So I'll be wrestling 180. So I don't know which ones of my opponents last year are going up to 207.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going down
Who's
to
coming
180.
down?
So
Well,
it's completely different.
I would imagine that if any of these young women are worth their weight in salt, however that saying is, right? Is they're looking wherever you're going, and they're
Maybe.
worrying if you're going down or going up to wherever they're at. I'm
That's
gonna
true.
guess,
Yeah,
right?
probably. I didn't
So
I didn't even think of it from that
yeah,
perspective,
because
but
I would
probably.
be if you're the national champ, I'm like, what weight is she going to? I might go to the other one, right? Right?
Well,
So
either way you go, you're gonna wrestle a national champ, right? So if you go
right,
down to 180, you'll wrestle the 170-pound national champ from last year. If you go, either way,
yeah,
there's gonna be tough
you're
wrestlers
gonna
at either
come
way
across somebody
class.
somewhere. So
Yeah.
so how are you handling?
Mhm.
You're the best, and you're like just the year that just went by, you're the best, right? That's got to come with pressure. That's got to come with not just personal expectations, but your coaches have expectations for you too. I know, I'm
Mhm.
sure mom and dad have some huge expectations for you, right? Your
Yeah.
teammates have expectations for you. You have your own personal expectations. That's a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
How do you handle that mental pressure of knowing you're the one of the elite wrestlers, maybe not just in the country, but not maybe now in the world, right? How do
Well,
you handle that?
yeah, so what I was talking to one of my coaches about, my one coach, Coach Omar Feliciano, he's coaching me in Albania at Worlds. He was like, you are no longer training to be a good college wrestler. Now you're training to be the best in the world. Who
Mm,
cares what you do in college? You already did everything you can do in college. I already accomplished everything I could. I don't care about winning a second national title. What I do care about is just getting better at wrestling. And then with that, you know, winning matches will come with that, you know? So it's not even about, oh, I need to win regionals again. I need to win nationals again. I really don't. Not that I don't care, you know, but my goals are above that. My goals are worlds and Olympics 2028. So training to be the best in the world, good wrestling in college will come with that.
So do you think that your mindset, I'm just kind of guessing here, your mindset, when you automatically think best in the world, Olympics, world titles, that it makes, and this is no disrespect at all, it makes college wrestling seem a little easier?
Not necessarily easier. It is going to be harder actually because of the weight class change. So going from
Okay.
191 to 180, it is going to be a lot harder. I'm seeing this year as preparing myself for the international circuit. That's what this year is for. It's not really to, like, I don't care about winning a national title. I just want to get better at wrestling. So whatever it takes to get better at wrestling, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay. So here's my next question, and this is going to lead right into it, is whatever for your sport, it's year-round work.
Yeah.
Simple question really is, do you ever get any time off? Like, do you ever get like, hey, a month, I don't have to do anything? Or is this constant go, go, go? And if so, how the heck do you avoid burning out? Like, you know,
Yeah.
losing the weight, the constant physical, working out, everything on top. How do you avoid saying enough's enough?
Yeah. So I remind myself what I'm grateful for, especially I hate being forced to sit out, injuries, mono, whatever is going on. In those moments, I'm like, when I'm clear to wrestle again, I'm not stopping. Like I hate sitting out. I hate watching other people get better at me while I can't do anything. I hate that. So if I'm capable of being active, I'm gonna be training. Like there's no reason for me to stop training unless my body cannot. So that's the way I think of it. Like it's not I have to go to practice. I get to go to practice.
Mm.
So that's really the mindset that I had this whole season. Oh, I don't have to go lift. I get to go lift because my body is capable, because it's not always capable, you know. So it's really being grateful for your health, for your body, for the things provided, for the opportunity. I don't have to go to this tournament. I get to go to this tournament. So
So
that's
where
a
did you get
big,
that from? Where that and I hear that from time to time,
yeah.
and I don't know if you know the author John Gordon.
I don't think so.
He's one of my favorite authors, and he has
Mhm.
all athletic books, like
Yeah.
winning in the locker room, training camp, all kinds of neat stuff. And he's got all kinds of videos out. And I've heard him say that a while back. Hey, you can't keep saying I have to, I have to, I have to. In life, you get to
Yeah.
do things. So how did you
Right.
adopt that mentality? Where did you get it from? Or did you just read it on your own, find it on your, how did you get to that? And how did you adopt it?
Yeah. I guess it was just being forced to sit out so many times. Like sitting there watching other people wrestling, I'm just like, this sucks. Like I wish I could be on the mat. I wish I could be on the mat. So then when I can be on the mat, I'm gonna put 100% into it. I'm not gonna half-ass anything. Like I put 100% into my training because I remember what it feels like to not be able to do it. You know, I remind myself of that. Do you remember, like, especially if I feel myself start complaining, oh my God, holding this plank is so hard. Sandy, remember that time when you weren't even allowed to do this? Yes, I do.
Mm.
So then I'm gonna hold it, you know?
So let's talk about your team. I don't mean individual people, but tell me about the camaraderie. Tell me about the team. Tell me about the bus rides. Do you guys take any plane rides anywhere or no?
We do. We fly a lot, actually.
Okay. Talk about the hotels, the camaraderie, talk about that, because as when people ask me what do I miss, like, what do you miss? Again, it's been 40 years. What do you miss about playing college football? I don't miss the games, even though the games were
Yeah.
fun. We weren't that good, so we didn't win many. So I don't really miss a lot of the losing, but I miss the locker room.
Yeah.
I miss the bus rides, the plane rides, the hotels. I
Mhm.
miss the after game, parties, get-togethers. That's is, and you can't explain that. So
Yeah.
talk about that for a second. Your experience in that world.
So it's so special, especially for wrestling. So on the way to a tournament, everyone's starving. Nobody's eating. We're not stopping for food. people are quiet on the bus because they're so hungry, like we're not having the best time on the way there. When we have that post tournament team dinner, the food just tastes extra good. Like we're all in a good mood. We're done wrestling for the day. Like we're all exhausted, but we're just having so much fun. And we play Mafia a lot with our team. We bring Uno cards everywhere. Like we're just having a good time. Always after. The before is not great. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
Before is not great because a lot of people are cutting weight. Like there's people on the bus who are spitting in a water bottle, like to lose those extra few ounces, or doing like crazy things to make weight. They're wearing a bunch of layers. They're trying to like sweat it out on the bus, wearing a beanie and a coat and all this stuff. So on the way there, it isn't great, but the way back is always a lot of fun after.
Yeah, that is the best part of it, right?
It really is. And the hotels are so much fun. If the hotel has a pool, we're like, oh my God, let's go swimming. So we always have a lot of fun.
So I'm going to get a little deep here for a second.
Mhm.
And we just went from, hey, the fun, the camaraderie, the parties afterwards, the after match dinners. Let's just talk about the just mental side of things.
Yeah,
Wrestling is so mental,
it really is.
right? And how do you balance that mental stress with college? Because you got to go to
Yeah.
class.
Hmm.
You got to study. And it's not easy. So sometimes I'm going to guess when you're studying, you're thinking
Hmm.
about wrestling.
Yeah.
And then sometimes maybe when you're wrestling, I got an exam tomorrow, or maybe you block that out. But
It's the worst.
how do
If
you
I
balance
like
that?
It's so hard, especially like I work on top of being a student athlete as well. So my schedule was wrestling practice like 6 to 8 a.m. Then I would lift at the gym at school. Then I would take a shower, go to class. Then classes over around 2. I would drive to my parents' martial arts school. I teach the kids classes there, so I teach classes, and then I would train again at night and
Oh
then
my
do it all
God.
over again. And I did that for months. And there were days where I was just like crying from exhaustion because it is so hard. It is so hard. I wasn't sleeping a lot. I had to stay up until 12 to finish assignments and then wake up at 4:45. So I definitely wasn't getting enough sleep. I would try to time manage and plan my day out and be like, all right, from this time to this time, I'm going to do my homework. And then when it came to that time, I fell asleep. So the homework didn't get done. So there were times where I did fall behind, but the biggest thing for me was just communicating with my professors. Like they're a lot of kids who get behind is because they don't talk to their professors. Like let them know a week ahead, hey, I have to cut 6 pounds this week and I have this tournament on Sunday. If there's any way I can get a 2-day extension, like I don't ask the day of, I ask a week before, and they always work with me. Oh, good luck, you're gonna do great. Thanks
Yeah.
for letting me know, like just communicating with your
Yeah.
professors, and they understand. And I'll even invite them. I'll be like, listen, we have a home match this weekend. I would love it if you come. So that's a lot of fun too. But just having an open communication. You don't want to
Yeah.
hide anything from them because that's when you fall behind. And then once you fall behind, it's really hard, very, very hard to catch up, especially if you haven't said anything to them.
Yeah.
Because then at that point they just think you're lazy or you're not trying. It's like, no, I have all these things going on.
Yeah.
If you would give me the grace of 2 extra days, I'd really appreciate it. I'll get the work done. But it is tough. If I have like a lot of assignments, I'll talk to my parents. I'll be like, I think I need those 4 hours instead of teaching class today. I think I really need to do my homework. And thankfully my parents are my bosses. So
Yeah.
they'll work with
They
me and
give you a little
they
leeway.
understand a little bit. So if it was any other job, I'd probably be fired. But
All right.
because it's with them, they do help me out a lot. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. So it is hard. It is very, very hard. But yeah.
I can only imagine. So let's talk about you mentioned time management, discipline.
Mhm.
And I don't mean I don't care if it's a young male athlete, female
Mhm.
athlete, wrestler, high school, thinking about that next level, right?
Mhm.
What's the best advice you can give them about time management, discipline, commitment to being a college wrestler?
Right. Expect it to be hard. It's supposed to be hard. If it was easy, like so many other people would do it. I think the statistic is like 1% of high school wrestlers wrestle in college. So at that point, you have to understand you're already special. You're already in the top 1%. Now, if you're in the top 1% of those college wrestlers, now you're like in the elite, right? You're up there. So to maintain all of these things going on at the same time. Like it is hard. It's supposed to be hard. Like what I said before with communicating with professors, day one, they're like, introduce yourself. Listen, I'm a student athlete. I work, I do this, I do this, I do this. I'm excited about this class, da, 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 and just put it all out there. I've had teammates in the past and they're like, oh, I don't want to tell my professor I'm an athlete. I'm like, why? That's the first thing you tell them. So they understand that you're training 6 hours a day. Like, and it's gonna be hard for you to get your work done. They need to understand that. And I'm like, you have to tell them, like, it's a part of you, and it makes it a lot harder to do work than the kids who only go to school, don't work, and don't do any sports, you know? I'm sure it's easy for them to get their work done, but for
Yeah.
us, it is harder. So
Well, I think part of that is, this is, I don't want any listeners to get mad at me, is that the traditional student, some of them have it tough, right?
mhm.
They have tough situations at home, whatever it might
Yeah,
be. But there are, they don't understand what you go through,
I don't.
right? The traditional student looks at the college athlete, and I don't mean this in that they're nasty, but
Yeah.
like, well, Sandy gets everything handed to her. Well, look,
Mm,
Sandy gets this, Sandy gets that, or maybe the other athletes. Oh, look, they get privileges. They get
yeah.
all this kind of extra whatever. Oh, why does she get extra time, extra help?
Hmm.
And they just don't understand what
Yeah.
goes on behind your scene. They just see
Hmm.
you show up to the classroom like everybody else. Hey,
Yeah.
Sandy's a student just like me.
With my wrestling backpack. Oh, look at her with her
Yeah.
gear.
Oh yeah, which makes them say, "Oh, she's an athlete. She gets privileges."
Yeah.
But they don't. But that's all they see. And you walk in there, you might not be smiling because you're cutting weight, but
Yeah.
you're walking in there like everybody else. So they just don't understand, which makes some athletes kind of, um, they're kind of afraid to talk up, and let people
Hmm.
know who they are.
Yeah.
Just for fear of that stigma. You
Yeah.
know.
I just stopped caring what people think,
Yeah.
honestly. I don't care. I know what I need to
Yeah.
succeed, and I know what I need to get things done. And if I keep to myself and I don't communicate, I'm gonna fall behind and it's not gonna be good. And if I fall behind in school, now I'm ineligible to wrestle, right? So if my goal is to wrestle, I have to do good in school.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like you have to maintain a certain GPA to participate in athletics, and you have to maintain a certain GPA to be a scholar All-American. And I'm like, if you want to do these things, you have to stay on top of your work. And the only way to do that is to communicate. So I do not care what other people think at all. I'll be the first one in class, raise my hand. Hi, my name is Sandy. I'm the captain of the women's wrestling team. And I'm just letting you know because it's gonna be hard for me, you know?
Now, captain, you mentioned captain. You beat me to it. Is that coach appointed or team appointed, or a little bit of both?
Coach. So I was the captain of my high school team my senior year, and then I've been captain at NGCU since my freshman year, since I started. So they usually freshmen aren't captains, right? But I was the first one to commit to the school. So they added the program in 2020. It was a brand new program. So your only choice is really to have a freshman as captain.
Yeah.
So once I got that role, I just kept it, I guess. I have natural leadership, like personality. So I try to lead by example as much as I can. Even when I'm struggling a lot, I'll tell my teammates, and then we help each other out, especially like, hey, we're in the same class together. Let's do this assignment together. Let's help each other out. We all like share classes. Not all of
Yeah.
us, but if I have a teammate that we're in the same class, let's walk to class together. We'll sit next to each other. We'll help each other out. We'll make sure like we don't fall behind. A lot of my teammates, even if it's the same online class, I'll be like, oh, did you do this assignment? Or my teammate will text me. I'll be at work teaching on the mat, and I'll look at my phone and she's like, did this assignment is due tonight? I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot. Thank you for reminding me. So we keep on top of each other,
Yeah.
you know? So it is, I'm so, so grateful for that.
That's awesome. So tell me about the role as a captain. You know,
Mhm.
you're the leader. Not all leaders have to be captains, and not all captains are leaders.
Right.
It sounds like you got a really good combination of both.
Mhm.
So talk about that role. What do you get out of it? What do you enjoy from it? And then what's the tough part about being the captain on the team?
Yeah. It's not easy. Like I really try to lead by example. There was a point in time, like in the beginning of the last season where people miss practice, I would text them, hey, like, where are you? Or you woke up late, like, what's going on? Like, how can you set your alarm earlier so you make it to practice on time? Like I understand it's hard to wake up at 4:45, but we all do it. You know what I mean? Like we all do it. So we all have to like, do you have goals? Like is what you're doing going to help you reach your goals? So I try to break it down like that for them. I try to ask my teammates like, how are you feeling? If I know they have injuries, how's your shoulder doing? How's your elbow doing? I saw you struggling a little bit during that workout. You should go see the trainer. No, I don't want to see the trainer because they're going to send me out. I know, but they're going to help you, to get better. So I understand you're in pain right now. I can tell by the way you threw around that medicine ball that your shoulder hurts. So go see the trainer, right? So
Yep.
sometimes, especially now that I'm a fifth year, now I'm like a grandma on the team because I'm one of the oldest ones and I've accomplished the most on the team. So even if I don't try, like I know people are looking up to me. So I try to do the right things.
Yeah.
Um, and they see how hard I work in practice, they really do. It is tough sometimes in season when I'm texting people and sometimes they don't text me back. And then I see them in practice and I'm like, is your phone working or what's going on? Because I know your phone works as I see you posting on Instagram. So you could text me back. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't bite, so I try to keep an open communication. We try to go out for team breakfast when we can eat. So like
Yeah.
we have a preseason team breakfast we go out at. And if, for example, one time after a tournament, I believe this was in Iowa, after the tournament, we like DoorDash crumble cookie or whatever, and we ate cookies, and it was like so much fun. It was so good. So like little things like that, like team bonding. We play a lot of games. We try to have a lot of fun because it is really hard. We're essentially beating each other up for 2 hours
Yeah.
every single day. So to be banging on someone's head, running through them, taking them down, throwing you, and then you go out and get coffee at Dunkin' after, like everything's cool, and you're all beat up in the face, and you're like best friends. So
Like
it's
battle
interesting.
scars,
Oh yeah, for sure.
right?
Like I can't even tell you how many times I scratch my coach by accident. And my nails are short, so I don't know. He always ends up bleeding in practice. But
It's because
yeah, it happens all
you're
the
beating them up.
time. No, he beats me up for sure.
So what do you think, in your world, and
Mhm,
everybody's different. What do you think is some of your biggest sources of stress? And I don't just mean athletic stress, but just, everything that's going on in your world. What kind of
mhm.
stresses that really jump out at you?
Yeah, I think school's a big one. Like just assignments, especially like if I'm taking I usually take 15 credits a semester, so it's 5 classes. So it's like, okay, I'm all caught up in this class. Oh my God, I'm behind in this class. I didn't even realize I was behind. So it's like really trying to keep track. I'm gotten a lot better at using my calendar now. So I write everything down in the calendar. Everything I have to do gets put in the calendar, whether it's lift or whatever it is, everything is in my calendar. So I try to keep track of that. And that helps eliminate stress. Obviously now there's no school. So I'm not stress free, but there's a lot less stress than there is during school because I can just focus. Right now, I focus on my training and teaching classes. That's it. I'm so grateful for that. That's
Like
all
you're
I
on
have to do right
vacation.
now. That's what it feels like. Like I just have to, I mean, I'm still training 3 times a day. Like it takes up so much of my time. In that free time, instead of sitting in front of a computer, I can recover. I can go to the sauna. I can stretch. I can take my time. I can do an ice bath. I can do things that'll make my body feel better. I'll use the massage gun, little things like that. Where in season or during the school year, I'll have this assignment due. I can't just sometimes I'll sit in the trainers with my laptop, icing my knee and doing an assignment. Like I've
Oh
done
my
that
God.
before, trying to multitask. It is hard. It is super hard, but like just things need to be done to reach my goals. There's no getting around it. Like I just have to get through it.
There's only 24 hours in a day,
Yeah.
and you got to squeeze everything in there, you know?
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes from Arnold Schwarzenegger, he says, sleep faster.
Yeah. I know doing that. I'll
So it's
sleep
like,
faster.
sleep
Yeah.
faster, that's it.
Yeah. Well, as you get older, right,
Mhm,
which you're not really experiencing that part yet, but as you get older, you don't want to sleep as much because
mhm,
the thing I say, which, and I don't mean this in any like a crazy derogatory thing, but hey, there's plenty of time to sleep when you're dead.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know about you, but if you do that, you follow the math, you sleep about a third of your life away.
Yeah, my lifting coach used to say that. If I was
Yeah.
resting in between sets, he's like, "Rest when you're dead." I'm like, "All
Yeah.
right, here we go." It's,
Exactly. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, I'm getting up earlier. I'm staying up late. I'm like forcing
yeah,
myself to stay up. Like, what are you staying up for? Because I want to stay up because I don't want to, I don't
it's
know how much
hard.
longer this is going to go.
It's so hard. Like I remember a time in season where I had to, it was not a hard assignment. It was just like reading something and then filling something out. I could not read because I would start
Yeah.
reading and I'd
Yeah.
fall asleep. I'd fall asleep. So I had to do it standing up and I was still like,
Yeah.
when you read the same sentence
Yep.
4 times in a
Over and
row and
over
you're
and
still
over.
not
Yeah.
comprehending.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is the homework is taking me longer than it should because my brain just cannot
Yeah. It can't work
focus.
anymore.
So
It's not
like
functioning.
there's been times where I had to drink coffee at 10 o'clock at night so I could stay up and get stuff
Yeah.
done and then try to force myself to fall asleep. But now I'm like twitching because I can't sleep. And
Yeah.
then the alarm goes off at 4:30 and it's like, you got to do it again.
I used to say, well, just because you're awake doesn't mean you're awake.
It's true.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You're just your might eyes might be working, you might be talking, but there's nothing
Yeah.
going on between your ears. Like you're literally
Mhm.
sleeping standing up, right?
Yeah. So sometimes I'll just set my timer, listen, 20-minute power nap. Boom, set it.
Yeah.
Wake up. Now I can focus and do my
Yeah.
work. Like I
Makes a
just
big
needed
difference.
that a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I want to go back to leadership a little bit,
Mhm.
right? Because I think in your mind, you're happy there. You're happy as a leader,
Mhm.
right? Like, you can see your smile as we talk about it.
Mhm.
Talk about when you see one of your teammates, and they're going through some tough times, whatever it might be. It could be
Yeah.
classroom, could be wrestling, could be personal. You see it, you know it,
Yeah.
there's something going on.
Yeah.
As a leader of the team, and the grandma of the team, how do you approach that? How do you handle it? How do you pull them
Mhm.
out of whatever they're dealing with?
Right. So whenever I was younger, I didn't really have anyone to look up to, right? There weren't really women in the sport, or I didn't know of them, or they were no one in my proximity, right? So I try to be to them what I didn't have. If my one teammate was having car issues, I'll wake up extra early and go pick you up at four
Well,
thirty in the morning. Like, just let me know. Is your car fixed? Like, I'll go pick you up. It's fine. Just let me know. And they're like, oh no, my car's okay, whatever it is. Or my one teammate, she was having issues at home, and I was like, come stay with me for a week. Just come stay at my house. I'll make sure you get to practice. I'll make sure you eat. I'll make sure you eat healthy, right? Because she was cutting weight too. So she stayed at my house for a week or whatever it is, or maybe on the weekends, or if we have to be at school at 4 a.m. to leave for a flight or to leave for the bus for a long ride, like, all right, just sleep over at my house and then we'll go together and it'll be easier. And then we're not missing anything, right? So I try to just help out so little things can go wrong as possible. I don't want people missing flights or their car broke down and now they have no other way to get to practice. Like, just give me a call and I'll try to help you out as best as I can. If I can't, then I'll try to get somebody else I know to help you out.
well.
So it's just
So,
really a support system.
yeah, but you said something, and just so as I'm looking down, I'm writing all kinds of stuff down, all the stuff
Mhm.
that you're saying. So you said, I think you said something, be where they are, like be in the position, put yourself in the position that they're dealing with as their leader.
I just want to be the leader that I didn't have.
Yeah.
When I was younger, there was one other girl on the team, and then she quit and joined cheerleading. So then I was the only girl on the team. And then, being the only girl on a team and not being good, like if you're the only girl, you better be good because you got to prove yourself to be there. I was not good. I was literally getting beat up. I hated it. I was like 8 years old. They're making me run stairs. I'm like, I hate this is so hard. I'd be crying. My dad's like, you can do it. So it was hard. I didn't really have anyone to look up to at the time. So I just want to be to them what I didn't have.
Yeah, that's awesome. So wrestling, male
Mhm.
dominated world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, women in wrestling it's only a couple years old compared to everything else.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? How do you handle being, hey, I'm a woman in a male dominated sport. You're putting the wrestling on the map. You're bringing the vision. You're
Mhm.
bringing accolades. You're bringing people. You're bringing the fans, right? But how do you handle that type of responsibility, right? And then, but it's still, it's hard
Yeah.
for you as a young woman coming into this sport. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. I guess I've just gotten used to it. Like my whole life I've been called a trailblazer. And to me that's just like, okay, I guess I'm the first to do it. Like I wish I wasn't the first to do it. I wish people did it before me, you know? It's not, people are like, "Oh, isn't it cool that you're the first national champ from New Jersey?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it sucks that it's 2024 and it took so long, you know?
Yeah.
Like I wish this all had already happened. I don't like being the first to do it. Is it cool? Yeah, but I wish it was already established, you know? I wish there was already people for me to look up to. Oh, I want to be like her. Like, no, I have to be the first to do it, I guess. So it is tough. Yeah.
Well, you probably heard that saying. Ed Milet coined it. You know who Ed Milet is?
No.
He's another motivational writer. He's
Hmm.
got a book called Power of One More. And he talks about, and also The Rock, you know who The Rock is, right?
Yeah.
So The Rock says this a lot too. But everybody said, well, one day, one day, one day, one day, right? Well,
Mhm.
when's day one? Well,
Yeah.
everybody's been saying, well, one day there's going to be a national champ female wrestler. One day there's going to be women in wrestling. Well, you made the day one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you make the day one, nobody forgets who that person was.
That's true.
You know what I mean? You have 25 other national champs going forward. Well, what year was she? Who is that? What school? I don't know. Who's the first? They don't forget.
Yeah.
You know?
I tell when I go coach practice sometimes I see little girls. It's like all little girls in practice. And I'm like, I'm jealous of them. It's like I wish I had other little girls to practice with. Like that's so cool
Yeah.
that they get that. Like growing up, I would be lucky if there was one other girl in the whole tournament. And she wasn't in my weight class, so I didn't get to wrestle her. But it was just cool to see another one there. And then every year, now there's 3 girls at this tournament. And the next year now there's 5. And I'm like, this is so cool. I remember my freshman year of high school, there were 3 girls on the team. My sophomore year, there were 5, junior 7, and my senior year, I was able to recruit 21 girls onto our high school team.
Wow.
So it was amazing, and that was tough too because I remember those girls looked at me as a coach, and I was like, "Hey, like this is my practice too. Like your coach is over there. I just brought you here. I need
Yeah.
you to go ask him questions because I have to also get my reps and I have to work too." But yeah, I love it. I love that the sport has grown so much.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to ask you a tough one.
Hmm.
Okay. And you mentioned your mom and dad, a couple of times, but your dad was your coach,
Hmm.
right?
For jujitsu. Yeah.
Okay. How was that?
He's right
Is he
there.
sitting right there? All
Yeah.
right. So now you get to tell him what you're thinking live,
Mhm. Yeah.
But so how is that having dad, as the coach?
Yeah. It's not easy. I mean, imagine living with your coach. Like, it's not, there are certain things like people wouldn't do in front of their coach. And it's like, you can't even do those things at home, you know? So it is tough. Like, if I want to eat something, he'll be like, "Oh, can you eat that? How's your weight?" I get asked about my weight every single day. It's so annoying, but I know they ask because they care or whatever.
I'm sure they do. Um, okay, well, you got how many more years of school left?
One more.
One more. So
Mhm.
what's the future look like? I know you're saying Olympics, you're shooting for that.
Yep.
What's the career path look like? If I don't want to fast forward and wish your life away, but if you could look at the future,
Yeah.
what's out there for you?
Yeah, so this year, for example, I have to make 76 kilos 3 more times. I make 76 kilos for the World Championships in October. I have an international tournament in New York City in November, and then I have senior nationals in Puerto Rico in December. So in December, once I win that, then I'm on the Pan Am team. Then I train for the Pan American Championships, and I represent Puerto Rico. And this is the last tournament I have, or Worlds is the last tournament that's U23 because next year I'll be too old. So once you're past U23, then it's senior level. That's like the highest level you can get, right? So I'm too old to do like the age group things anymore. So it's gonna be senior level. So it's senior level Pan Ams. It's then gonna be senior level Worlds, senior level, everything else going forward. So it's the next level. I'm super excited. I'm a little scared, but I'm excited just to get better at wrestling. That's all I want is to get better.
So now, will you be one of the younger ones in the senior level, or how
Mhm.
does that work?
Um, yes and no, probably not actually, because a lot of younger girls are getting better. Like if the Olympics just now, there were 18-year-olds wrestling. And Olympics
Yeah.
is senior level, right? There's no age
Yeah.
limit. So that is senior level. There are 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20, 21, 22. So I mean, wrestling's tough. Like you don't do it for a very
No.
long time. You don't last too long. So
And how old is the oldest person roughly out there wrestling now?
Helen Marulish just won bronze. I believe she's 32.
Okay.
And this was her third Olympics. I
Oh,
don't know
wow.
if she's gonna go for another one. It's tough for women as well, especially like if you want to start a family, like you
Yeah.
have to do it based off the Olympic cycle. You're not gonna have kids before the Olympics. So there is like a slight baby boom after the Olympics. So I'm guessing in the next couple months, people are gonna be getting married, having babies, like
Yeah.
because they have to do it now, and then they have 3 years to prepare for the next Olympics. So we'll
Okay.
we'll see. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So you
she's
got a
32.
ways to go. If she's
A little bit.
33, you got a long way to go.
Yeah, so maybe 10 years left in the sport.
All
We'll
right.
see. Yeah.
Okay. So wrestling's over.
Mhm.
This I don't want to say that, but this is hey, wrestling's over, career's
Yeah.
over. Let's say you're 33 or whatever. Well,
Mhm.
so what's the career path look like then?
So I want to do what my parents do. I want to take over the martial arts school.
Okay.
I love teaching the kids. It's like my favorite thing to do. It's so much fun. They're so sweet. And kids are funny because they're so honest. Like I was helping one of the kids out and I stood up and the kid heard my knee pop and he was like, "What was that?" I was like, "That's my knee. I'm getting old." So like little things like that, but they're awesome little kids. They're awesome to teach. I love teaching them. And then jujitsu like is always going to be there for the rest of my life. So I can always compete in jujitsu
Yeah.
pretty much whenever I want. And jujitsu is cool too because they have other age groups above adult. They have like masters 1, masters 2, where it's like 45 and up. So it's a little bit more fair
Yeah.
based on age. So I can compete whenever I want to. If I don't want to compete, I don't have to. I can teach for as long as I want to. That's the
It's
goal.
awesome. So two questions. One is let's let everybody know wrestling wise, the school year's coming up. When's the first match? Where can they come watch you?
So I don't know if World is being streamed yet, and I actually don't have my college schedule yet, but we usually have a scrimmage at the end of October. But I think I'll be in Albania. So I
Okay.
think I'm missing the first scrimmage, which no one's mad about, obviously, because I'll be competing at World. I'm not on vacation or anything. So yeah, and what's tough about Puerto Rico as well is I'm representing Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has no money at all. So I'm been fundraising. I started a GoFundMe. I've been doing a lot of clinics and stuff to raise money. Like I have to pay for my tournament
Everything.
fee, for the coaching license, for my gear, my coach's gear, my hotel, my coach's hotel, my flight, my coach's flight. So
Oh my God.
all these things are yeah, they're adding up. But I've been trying to book clinics like almost every Saturday to try to make some money to make it
So
happen.
how can people come to your clinics?
So I usually post about them on my Instagram, and I have one in PA next week,
Okay.
then another one after that in Philly, then 2 in Jersey after that. So I try to keep them not too far away because I don't want to spend money on flying out anywhere. So
So how do they find you on Instagram?
my Instagram is Sandy K Guerrero. So it's SandyKGuerrero.
All right.
Mhm.
Now, how about the jujitsu school?
Mhm.
Where's that? For let's
Yeah.
say there's some young little girls want to get involved and come
Mhm.
join. Like, where is that? How do they
Yeah.
find it?
So we're located in West Orange. We're called No Limit Martial Arts. So we're in this little plaza off of Mount Pleasant Ave. So yeah, it's awesome. We're super
Nice.
close to a couple of elementary schools and the West Orange High School we're down the street from, which is awesome.
Good. So they can come. They can come at least come watch you,
Yeah.
right?
Let you
And
take class. I'll teach them some
yeah,
stuff.
take some classes. So maybe people who are listening to this, they'll come. We'll get it out there, and because as this audience continues to grow,
Mhm.
more and more people are listening, and they can refer people out. And that's the other thing behind this,
Yeah.
trying to get whoever has a company, whoever has a school, whoever wants to share in contact with other people, that hey, this is how you can
Right.
find me and do things, which is great.
That's awesome.
So Sandy, one last question.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else I haven't asked you yet that you think we should touch on before we end the show?
think we covered everything.
Everything? Yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about a lot of good stuff. Well, listen, you know, I wish you the best of luck. You
Thank
know,
you.
you are a trailblazer.
Thank
You know what I
you.
mean? And you're setting the tone. You
Yeah.
know, and the challenge that all these other young women have is you set the tone or the bar really
Hmm.
high. You know, and that's great. And you know,
Yeah.
you become the average of the 5 people you hang around with, 6 people you hang around with, right?
Yep, it's true.
And if young girls, women come and watch you and emulate you and to have a desire to be like you, man,
Hmm.
how awesome is that going to be?
It's amazing.
You know,
I love
so
it when
I
my
wish
little
you,
students say that.
yeah, good. So I wish you the best. Good luck. Go win the Olympic gold medal. And when you do, when you win the Olympic gold medal, I want to have you back on the show.
Sounds good. That's a deal.
All right. All right. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.